The entire internet is astonished by Mama Jones' shocking live announcement. This heartbreak is real and begins with a single name, Chrissy Lamkin. This isn't your average reality show tea. Before you all assume that this is just another Love and Hip Hop rerun, know that we are delving deeply into a story that is full of secrets, illness, and a mother-in-law who simply could not remain silent any longer. Where's Chrissy? Has been a question posed by fans for some time. She hasn't been as active on social media as she once was, rarely attends events, and even skipped a few significant industry events that she never would have attended otherwise. Individuals began to realize that something was amiss. When people noticed that Chrissy had obviously lost a lot of weight, her body appeared smaller and her face thinner, they began to speculate about a variety of possible causes. Then the wig changes took place. Chrissy always wore a variety of looks, but lately the wigs were looser and more cover-up than fashion. Online fans began speculating about potential health problems at that point. It turns out that she was concealing something significant, despite initial suspicions that she was simply keeping quiet. We're talking about real life here, not drama, because while everyone on the internet was discussing a breakup or a falling out with Jim, no one anticipated this next phase. The live stream that followed, however, was the turning point, because Mama Jones was exposing rather than merely venting. During her Instagram Live, Mama Jones immediately struck a serious tone as she discussed how she always sensed something wasn't quite right about Chrissy. Everything clicked when Mama Jones discovered medical records, claiming that Chrissy has been receiving treatment covertly, not for a trivial reason either. She alluded to leukemia. The internet froze at that point. Although she implied it, Mama Jones did not state that Chrissy has leukemia, making it seem as though this had been going on for some time. She claimed to have seen hospital records and discovered proof of regular treatments. She also claimed that at the same time Chrissy vanished from view, Chrissy never once told Jim. Mama Jones says that instead of being honest, Chrissy simply left the relationship when Jim was ill. She didn't just leave, though. She simply disappeared without sending a text or speaking to anyone. The emotion in Mama Jones's voice truly took people by surprise. Her tone was one of hurt rather than anger. She claimed that she had kept this to herself so as not to exacerbate the conflict between her and Chrissy. Now, though, she felt it was time to talk because people were always asking her what had happened. Jones stated, "I saw it with my own eyes. She was going through something. She simply left, though, without asking for assistance or an explanation. And it would explain the weight loss, the wigs, and the silent disappearances if Chrissy is indeed battling leukemia. But it also raises more serious issues. How did Mama Jones learn about it before Jim did? And why is she informing the fans about it? Since Jim was experiencing his own form of suffering while Chrissy was dealing with a serious issue, let's now discuss Jim. According to insiders close to the family, Jim was devastated to learn of Chrissy's condition through rumors. Imagine not knowing that your longtime partner, with whom you have built a relationship for more than 20 years, is ill. According to one source, Jim was spotted sitting by himself in his car for hours after receiving the news because, to him, it was both the betrayal of ignorance and the illness. Chrissy wasn't just gone and left a note. She was occasionally present in the same house, but emotionally distant. She began sleeping in a different room and hardly talking, according to insiders, and she dismissed Jim's attempts to contact her. How perplexing that must have been for Jim is difficult to imagine. One day everything is good, and the next your fiance is hardly touching you and hardly looking at you. Worst of all, she refused to explain why. For Jim, this was a serious blow. When Mama Jones began speaking up, it didn't help, according to those close to him. On the contrary, it made Jim feel even more caught off guard because everyone now knew something he didn't. He began withdrawing from friends, missing out on music sessions, and isolating himself. The situation becomes even more concerning at this point since Chrissy's subsequent actions left everyone wondering, what is she hiding besides the diagnosis? Therefore, why would Chrissy go through this significant event without telling her 20-year partner? According to a number of theories, Chrissy may have been subjected to a variety of pressures. First hypothesis, she didn't want to appear frail. Perhaps Chrissy thought that being ill meant being vulnerable because she has always been a strong woman. Furthermore, being viewed as weak was not an option for someone who has had to battle her way through the music business, reality TV, and her complex relationship with Jim's family. Second theory, she feared Jim would go. Let's face it, there have been ups and downs in their relationship, and Jim's loyalty has occasionally been questioned. It's possible that Chrissy believed telling him she was ill would only encourage him to start straying. She chose to shut down rather than risk that heartache. Third theory, she refrained from involving Mama Jones. Everyone is aware that Chrissy and Mama Jones don't get along, and if Chrissy had talked about her illness, Mama Jones would have been right in the middle, offering her thoughts, posing queries, and possibly even attempting to dictate how Chrissy responded to her care. The problem is that while these theories make sense, they also emphasize how alone Chrissy must have felt. That's a level of drama she was probably unprepared for. Whatever her motivations, she decided to keep quiet rather than offer assistance, and her entire family was destroyed as a result. This is where things start to get crazy, because fans aren't merely making up stories about illness anymore. They are posing a grave query. Was Chrissy poisoned? Yes. At first, it sounds crazy, but let's examine why this conspiracy is gaining traction. Some fans saw the timing of everything, and that's when it all began. It appeared that Chrissy's health had taken a significant turn around the time Jim's ex-girlfriend Tahiri Chosi returned to the scene. While some claim it began with a few social media likes and possibly a chance encounter at an event, others assert Jim and Tahiri were becoming too close. Although there isn't a public feud between Chrissy and Tahi, let's face it, tension will always arise when an ex resurfaces, especially if they have a history together. Chrissy's abrupt weight loss, drastic change in appearance, and emotional withdrawal are all examples of this. Soon after, supporters began to piece things together, stating, "This isn't just stress or a personal health problem. What if there's another event happening?" In a previous interview, Tahiri made a joke about eliminating the competition, which some internet detectives even extracted from old footage. Though it has nothing to do with Chrissy specifically, the timing is odd. You have a complete conspiracy theory when you combine that with Chrissy's reserved demeanor and Jim misusing his wealth. It is evidently difficult to investigate the possibility that someone purposefully made Chrissy ill. Now, however, the whispers are not ceasing. This information was provided by Mama Jones, who, as you are all aware, doesn't miss words, rather than Chrissy or Jim. She claims that she began to observe odd transactions leaving Jim's accounts, large sums, private payments, and no explicit justification for the payments are all at issue here. As she dug deeper, she said she discovered the funds were purportedly being used to cover private medical care. It didn't end there, though. These weren't your typical medical bills, according to some reports. Some of the money was allegedly being used as hush money to keep certain doctors silent. If this is the case, what precisely were they trying to conceal? Mama Jones made a suggestion that Jim might have been more aware than he admitted, maybe not about the entire illness, but enough to attempt to manage things in private so the media won't find out. Ironically, because his mother couldn't keep quiet, the person who was attempting to keep things quiet is now dealing with a public uproar. Another question raised by some fans is whether Jim was shielding someone else or Chrissy. Tahiri's name invites a variety of assumptions if it is even remotely related to any of this. Not to mention that Mama Jones has always suspected the women in Jim's life, and now that money is missing, health problems are being concealed, and Chrissy is gradually losing her prominence, she may have her doubts. It's safe to assume that something is going on behind the scenes. Jim Jones is now the center of attention, and he's really caught between defending Chrissy, the woman he's been with for years, and accepting the truth, no matter how unpleasant it may be. Sources close to Jim claim that he is experiencing emotional difficulties. He has been observed avoiding friends, avoiding the media, and sobbing by himself in his car. It's obvious that he's trying to keep things together. He cannot solve this with cash or a successful album. In the meantime, Mama Jones continues to speak. She claims that the fans should be aware of the truth and that Jim is encouraging Chrissy's excessive concealment, which is increasing pressure on Jim to act. As a result, the situation has turned into a chess game. If Jim comes clean, he might be disclosing information that harms not just Chrissy, but also his reputation. If he defends Chrissy, he runs the risk of hiding something much more serious. There are even rumors that VH1 and other media are investigating in an attempt to learn the whole truth. Regardless of Jim's feelings, the spotlight is only going to get hotter, so please share your thoughts in the comment section. Is this a tragic health scare or something much darker in your opinion? We're not done yet. Part 2 is going to blow your mind, so make sure you click the subscribe button.